On January 29, 2025, Meta Platforms Incorporated, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, reached a significant settlement agreement with former President Donald Trump, concluding a contentious lawsuit stemming from his suspension from these platforms following the January 6, 2021 Capitol riot. The settlement, valued at $25 million, is notable for its implications not only for Trump's ongoing legal challenges but also for the broader landscape of social media regulation and content moderation. Settlement overview. The terms of the settlement indicate that $22 million will be allocated to Trump's presidential library, while the remaining funds will cover legal expenses associated with the lawsuit. Crucially, Meta did not admit to any wrongdoing in this settlement, a point that has been widely reported by various media outlets. This lack of admission of guilt is significant as it underscores the ongoing debate about the responsibilities of social media platforms in moderating content, particularly that which may incite violence or spread misinformation. Background of the lawsuit. Trump's legal battle against Meta began soon after his accounts were suspended in the wake of the Capitol incident, which was characterized by violent clashes as supporters attempted to overturn the 2020 presidential election results. The lawsuit, filed in the summer of 2021, accused Meta of wrongful censorship, arguing that the suspension of his accounts was an infringement on his freedom of speech. Trump's legal team contended that Meta's actions were politically motivated and unjustified given the context of the statements he made prior to the events of January 6. Reinstatement and ongoing concerns. Although Trump's accounts on Facebook and Instagram were reinstated in January 2023, his legal advisors argued that the conditions under which they were restored created a chilling effect. Trump's accounts were subjected to stricter guidelines, which his team claimed limited his ability to communicate freely with his followers. This ongoing scrutiny and the threat of harsher penalties for any potential future violations of Meta's policies contributed to the atmosphere of anxiety regarding his social media presence. Shifting dynamics between Trump and Zuckerberg. The relationship between Trump and Meta's CEO Mark Zuckerberg has undergone notable transformations since the events of 2021. Previously marked by animosity, evidenced by Trump's public remarks suggesting Zuckerberg should spend the rest of his life in prison, the relationship appears to have softened. Reports indicate that Zuckerberg praised Trump following a near-assassination attempt against him, suggesting a potential strategic alignment as Trump gears up for a 2024 presidential campaign. This easing of tensions may reflect broader changes in the political landscape and the business considerations of social media companies as they navigate the complexities of content moderation and public scrutiny. Implications for social media regulation. The settlement carries significant implications for social media regulation and the handling of censorship claims. As discussions surrounding free speech and content moderation intensify, this case may set a precedent for how platforms manage political discourse. Observers have noted that the resolution of Trump's lawsuit could embolden other public figures to pursue similar claims, thereby increasing scrutiny on social media policies. Furthermore, the settlement underscores the delicate balance that social media platforms must maintain between allowing free expression and mitigating harmful content, as these platforms continue to grapple with their roles in democratic discourse. The outcomes of such high-profile legal battles may influence their policies and practices going forward. Media coverage and perspectives. The coverage of the settlement has varied across different news outlets. For instance, sources like Forbes and CNN have focused on the financial aspects of the settlement and its implications for Trump's political future. In contrast, NPR has placed more emphasis on the broader context of social media policies and the impact on user rights. This divergence in reporting highlights the multifaceted nature of the topic, where financial settlements, political ramifications, and regulatory frameworks intersect. Timeline of key events. To provide a clearer picture of the events leading up to the settlement, here is a timeline of significant occurrences. January 6, 2021, Trump's Facebook and Instagram accounts are suspended following the Capitol riot. Summer 2021, Trump files a lawsuit against Meta, alleging wrongful censorship. January 2023, Trump's accounts are reinstated but are subject to stricter monitoring and guidelines. November 2023, Trump and Zuckerberg reportedly discussed the lawsuit, signaling a shift in their relationship. January 29, 2025, Meta finalizes a $25 million settlement with Trump. Conclusion: the settlement between Meta and Trump not only resolves a pivotal legal dispute for the former president but also highlights the ongoing challenges and tensions surrounding social media governance. As digital platforms continue to evolve and play a central role in political communication, the outcomes of such legal agreements will likely shape future interactions between public figures and social media companies. The implications of this case extend beyond Trump raising essential questions about free speech, censorship, and the responsibilities of technology companies in the digital age. As the landscape of social media continues to evolve, the resolution of this lawsuit may influence how platforms navigate the complex interplay of political discourse and content moderation. The finalized settlement agreement between Meta and Donald Trump, wherein Meta will pay $25 million, reveals several counterintuitive insights about the intersection of politics, social media, and legal frameworks. 1. Financial gain from censorship claims. While many may perceive censorship as punitive, Trump's ability to secure a significant financial settlement from Meta suggests that claims of censorship can be leveraged for economic gain. This counters the traditional notion that being censored is purely detrimental. In this case, it became a profitable venture for Trump, potentially setting a precedent for other public figures. 2. Meta's strategic retreat. The settlement indicates a strategic retreat by Meta in its regulatory stance after the Capitol riot, suggesting that the company may prioritize financial resolution over legal battles. This could imply that large tech companies are willing to pay substantial sums to avoid protracted legal disputes, which counters the expectation that they would vigorously defend their policies in court. 3. Changing dynamics in political relationships. The evolving relationship between Trump and Zuckerberg, characterized by previous hostility but now shifting towards cooperation, suggests that political alliances can be fluid and transactional. The notion that such high-profile figures could reconcile their differences for mutual benefit challenges the idea of consistent ideological divides in politics and business. 4. Implications for future regulations. The resolution of Trump's lawsuit could encourage other public figures to pursue similar claims against social media platforms, potentially leading to an increase in lawsuits. This counters the assumption that social media companies can maintain a stronghold over content regulation without facing significant legal challenges from influential figures. 5. A broader impact on social media policies. The settlement not only resolves Trump's specific grievances but also raises questions about the broader implications for social media governance. The idea that a settlement might influence how platforms manage content moderation and censorship is counterintuitive. One might assume that established guidelines would remain unchanged regardless of individual lawsuits. 6. Public perception of accountability. The fact that Meta did not admit wrongdoing as part of the settlement suggests a counterintuitive perspective on corporate accountability. Despite paying a substantial sum, the lack of a formal acknowledgement of error may lead the public to question the sincerity of social media companies in addressing issues of censorship and content regulation. 7. Political campaigning and social media dynamics. Trump's settlement comes at a time when he is gearing up for the 2024 presidential election, raising the possibility that social media platforms might be more inclined to accommodate political figures to avoid backlash. This counters the expectation that tech companies would remain neutral and strictly enforce their content policies, suggesting a more complex interplay between politics and social media strategy. 8. Potential for increased scrutiny. The settlement could lead to increased scrutiny of social media platforms regarding their content moderation practices. This challenges the perception that these companies operate above the law. Instead, it indicates that their decisions may be subject to legal and financial repercussions, potentially altering their operational protocols in the future. In summary, The implications of the settlement between Trump and Meta illustrate a complex landscape where financial interests, political relationships, and social media regulations intersect in unexpected ways, challenging conventional assumptions about censorship, accountability, and the dynamics of power in the digital age. The settlement agreement between Meta and Donald Trump, finalized on January 29, 2025, is significant for several reasons that may be overlooked by many observers. While the financial details and the implications for Trump's political future have received considerable attention, the broader implications for social media regulation and the evolving relationship between technology platforms and political figures warrant deeper examination. 1. Financial allocation and political influence. A crucial detail that might be missed is the allocation of the settlement funds. Of the $25 million, $22 million is earmarked for Trump's presidential library. This allocation not only serves as a financial boon for Trump's legacy but also reinforces the notion that political actions and legal battles can be monetarily beneficial. It suggests a potential model where public figures might view litigation against social media companies as a viable strategy to bolster personal coffers or influence public narratives. Significance: this financial aspect raises ethical questions about the motivations behind lawsuits stemming from social media policies and the implications for political figures leveraging legal disputes for financial gain. If future public figures adopt a similar approach, it may lead to a surge in lawsuits against platforms. Complicating the regulatory landscape. 2. Meta's non-admission of wrongdoing. Meta's decision to settle without admitting any wrongdoing is another critical point that may be overshadowed. This aspect emphasizes the company's desire to avoid establishing a legal precedent regarding censorship and content moderation policies. By not admitting fault, Meta can maintain its current policies and continue to navigate the complex landscape of content moderation without the burden of a legal precedent that might limit its actions in the future. Significance: the lack of admission could embolden other public figures to challenge social media policies while also leading to increased scrutiny of how platforms enforce their guidelines. It raises questions about accountability for tech companies in their roles as content moderators and the extent to which they can regulate speech without facing legal repercussions. 3. Chilling effect on free speech. Trump's legal team argued that the settlement creates a chilling effect on his use of social media due to the threat of potential penalties for future violations. This argument could resonate with a broader audience, particularly among politicians and public figures who may feel similarly constrained by social media policies that could penalize them for controversial statements. Significance: the chilling effect on free speech is a critical issue as it underscores the tension between the platform's responsibilities to prevent harmful content and the rights of individuals to express themselves freely. This dynamic may lead to increased calls for regulatory frameworks that protect free speech while ensuring platforms can enforce community standards. 4. Evolution of Meta's relationship with Trump. The evolving relationship between Mark Zuckerberg and Trump is noteworthy. Once characterized by hostility, their recent interactions suggest a strategic alignment as Trump campaigns for the 2024 presidential election. Zuckerberg's comments post-Trump's near-assassination attempt indicate a shift towards a more conciliatory stance. Significance: this change could signal a broader trend where tech executives may seek to cultivate relationships with political figures to mitigate risks associated with backlash against their platforms. It raises concerns about the potential for undue influence on social media policies based on political affiliations and the implications for platform neutrality. 5. Broader implications for social media policies. The settlement reflects ongoing debates about social media governance and the balance between free speech and content moderation. The resolution of Trump's lawsuit may set a precedent for other public figures to challenge social media platforms' actions, leading to an increase in similar lawsuits and demands for policy changes. Significance: as more public figures challenge social media policies, platforms may face pressure to alter their content moderation strategies. This could result in a more fragmented approach to regulation where different platforms adopt varying standards based on their user base and political pressures. The potential for a patchwork of policies could complicate the regulatory landscape and lead to inconsistencies in how content is moderated across platforms. 6. Linked to broader media landscape. The settlement's timing aligns with other recent legal disputes involving Trump and media organizations such as ABC settling a defamation lawsuit for $15 million. This trend may indicate a growing willingness among media and tech companies to settle disputes, with Trump potentially setting precedents for future interactions between public figures and media platforms. Significance: the increasing number of settlements could signal a shift in how media and tech companies approach legal challenges from public figures, prioritizing financial resolution over prolonged litigation. This trend may affect journalistic integrity and the willingness of media organizations to challenge powerful figures, as settlements could be viewed as a means of avoiding negative publicity or litigation costs. 7. Potential for future regulation. The implications of this settlement extend beyond the immediate financial outcome. It raises questions about the future of social media regulation. As public figures increasingly engage in litigation against platforms, regulators may be compelled to intervene and establish clearer guidelines for content moderation. Significance: if regulatory bodies respond to the growing trend of lawsuits, it could lead to the establishment of new frameworks governing social media practices. This could have lasting effects on how platforms operate, the extent of their content moderation, and the rights of users to challenge decisions made by these private companies. Conclusion: while the financial aspects of the Meta-Trump settlement and its implications for Trump's political future are significant, the broader implications for social media regulation, the evolving relationship between tech executives and political figures, and the potential chilling effect on free speech are critical elements that deserve greater attention. As the landscape of social media continues to evolve, understanding these nuances will be essential for navigating the future of digital communication, political discourse, and the responsibilities of tech companies. 1. Settlement context and financial implications. The $25 million settlement between Meta and Donald Trump is a pivotal moment that not only resolves Trump's lawsuit regarding alleged wrongful censorship but also directs a significant portion of the funds toward his presidential library. By not admitting wrongdoing, Meta effectively maintains its stance on content moderation policies while simultaneously addressing the legal ramifications of its actions during a politically charged period. This settlement raises critical questions about the monetary stakes involved in social media governance and the potential for similar claims from other public figures in the future. 2. Legal and regulatory ramifications. The lawsuit and its resolution bring to the forefront issues surrounding the legal frameworks that govern social media platforms. With Trump's suspension being justified on the grounds of preventing incitement of violence, the settlement highlights the ongoing tension between free speech and the responsibility of social media companies to mitigate harmful content. This incident may prompt a re-evaluation of content moderation policies and lead to greater scrutiny of how social media platforms handle political discourse, potentially influencing legislation aimed at regulating online content. 3. Changing dynamics between Trump and Meta. The evolving relationship between Donald Trump and Meta, particularly Mark Zuckerberg, underscores a significant shift in the political landscape and business strategies of social media giants. Initially marked by conflict, the recent cordial interactions suggest a strategic alignment as Trump gears up for his 2024 presidential campaign. This change not only reflects the complexities of political affiliations in the tech industry but also indicates how social media platforms might adapt their policies in response to political pressures and public sentiment. For a broader impact on social media policy and user rights, the settlement signals a potential shift in how social media platforms approach censorship claims, particularly from political figures. As these platforms navigate the balance between allowing free expression and preventing harmful rhetoric, the resolution of Trump's lawsuit could set a precedent for future cases. This scenario emphasizes the need for clearer guidelines on content moderation and user rights, as the implications of this case could ripple through the political landscape, affecting how social media platforms interact with public figures and influence political communication. 1. The Microsoft antitrust case 1998-2001. The U.S. government filed a lawsuit against Microsoft Corporation accusing it of maintaining a monopoly in the PC operating system market and engaging in anti-competitive practices. The case concluded with a settlement that included extensive regulations on Microsoft's business practices, ultimately shaping how technology companies interact with consumers and competitors. This case highlighted the challenges of regulating powerful tech firms and the implications for market competition and innovation. 2. The Napster lawsuit 2000. The Recording Industry Association of America (RIAA) sued Napster, a peer-to-peer file-sharing service, for copyright infringement. The lawsuit resulted in a landmark ruling that forced Napster to shut down its service, setting a precedent for how digital content is regulated and leading to significant changes in the music industry. This case underscored the tension between technological innovation and existing legal frameworks, similar to the issues of social media regulation and censorship seen in Trump's settlement with Meta. 3. The Facebook Cambridge Analytica scandal 2018. This controversy emerged when it was revealed that Cambridge Analytica harvested data from millions of Facebook users without consent to influence political advertising during the 2016 U.S. presidential election. The fallout included widespread scrutiny of Facebook's data privacy practices, regulatory investigations, and legal actions. The scandal raised critical discussions about the accountability of social media platforms and the ethical implications of data usage. Mirroring the ongoing debates around censorship and regulation in the context of political discourse and social media, the recent $25 million settlement agreement between Meta and former President Donald Trump carries substantial implications for the future of social media regulation and the relationship between political figures and digital platforms. Here are several predictions regarding the potential future outlook. 1. Increased legal challenges over censorship claims. The settlement may set a precedent that encourages other public figures and politicians to pursue similar legal actions against social media companies. As political discourse increasingly shifts online, more individuals may claim wrongful censorship or bias, leading to a rise in litigation against platforms like Meta, Twitter, and others. This could prompt social media companies to re-evaluate their content moderation policies to mitigate potential legal repercussions. 2. Evolving content moderation policies. In response to the heightened scrutiny from legal actions, social media platforms may adopt more transparent content moderation policies. Companies will likely need to balance the protection of free speech with their responsibility to prevent the spread of harmful content. This could lead to the establishment of clearer guidelines that outline what constitutes a violation of community standards, thereby reducing ambiguity and potential legal challenges. 3. Political influence on social media governance. As social media platforms navigate the complexities of political speech, the dynamics between tech executives and political figures will be critical. The warming relationship between Zuckerberg and Trump suggests that social media executives may increasingly engage with political leaders to align their policies with prevailing political sentiments. This could result in platforms being more accommodating to certain political figures, potentially leading to accusations of bias or favoritism. 4. Regulatory scrutiny and legislative action. The settlement may reignite discussions around regulating social media platforms at the legislative level. As concerns regarding misinformation, hate speech, and political advertising intensify, lawmakers might push for stricter regulations governing content moderation and transparency. This could include new laws mandating disclosure of moderation practices or creating independent oversight bodies to evaluate social media policies. 5. Shifts in user engagement and platform dynamics. Trump's ongoing influence over social media, particularly through his connections with Meta, could reshape user engagement on these platforms. As he campaigns for the 2024 election, his presence may attract a significant following, influencing how users interact with Meta's platforms. Social media dynamics could shift, with platforms catering more to political content and discourse, potentially altering the landscape of social media engagement. 6. Alternatives to mainstream platforms gain traction. As mainstream platforms face increasing scrutiny and regulation, alternative social media platforms, particularly those catering to specific political ideologies, may gain popularity. For example, Trump's focus on Truth Social underscores a trend where users seek platforms that align with their political views and offer less restrictive content moderation. This could fragment the digital landscape and encourage the rise of niche platforms. 7. Impact on election campaign strategies. The settlement and its implications for social media regulation could influence how candidates approach their digital campaigns. With the specter of potential penalties for violations, political campaigns may adopt more cautious strategies regarding social media use, emphasizing compliance with platform rules. Candidates might invest more in understanding the intricacies of each platform's policies to navigate the digital landscape effectively. 8. Broader cultural conversations on free speech. The implications of this settlement will likely contribute to broader cultural conversations regarding free speech in the digital age. As debates intensify around what constitutes acceptable speech and the role of private companies in regulating it, societal norms surrounding online discourse may evolve. This could lead to a re-evaluation of the responsibilities of both users and platforms in maintaining a healthy online environment. Conclusion. The settlement between Trump and Meta represents a pivotal moment in the ongoing discourse surrounding social media regulation, censorship, and political engagement online. As the landscape continues to evolve, stakeholders, including social media companies, politicians, and users, will need to navigate these complexities thoughtfully. The future will likely be characterized by increased legal challenges, evolving moderation policies, and a heightened awareness of the interplay between technology and politics.